Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm excited that you stopped by. Today I'm going to be showing you one of my favorite bakes, which is Fougasse. It is a French bread that's crispy on the outside, soft on the inside, and this one is even made with white whole wheat flour. Now to start it, I use a sponge. I do this to hydrate the wheat flour. It's very simple to do. You mix together the wheat flour, the water, and your yeast. You cover it, let it sit for an hour or two. Once that's done, it's ready to use. From that point on, this recipe is very simple. This is what it looks like after about, I think I let mine sit for an hour and a half. Once it's done, you add it to your stand mixer, or if you're mixing this, you can also knead this by hand as well. I need to note that. But what you're going to do now is you're going to add in the remaining ingredients. Those are all down in the description, as is the method as well. So add all of these in, and then you're going to turn it on. You want to let this mix on medium speed until it gets mine took about 6 to 8 minutes, but what you're looking for, you want the dough to pull away from the edges of the bowl. You also want it to be very soft and smooth. This is at the very end here. This is what it looks like. Once it's done mixing, you're going to cover it. We're going to let this rise until it's doubled. It depends on the warmth of your house, the humidity of your house, but it should take anywhere in between 45 minutes to maybe an hour and a half. And then once it's done, this makes 2 very good sized Fougasse. So you're going to turn this out onto your surface just like I did here. The dough is going to be just slightly tacky or sticky. That's exactly what you want. It's because it's a wheat dough, so it needs to have a little more hydration. Once you divide these in half, roll them into a ball, and then you're going to start shaping it. Now what you'll notice here is that as I'm shaping mine, the dough is pulling back on itself. So when this happens, what you're going to do is you just cover it with a towel or plastic wrap like I did, and let it sit for just a few minutes. Once you do this, the gluten is going to relax and it's going to be much easier to work with. You can see the second time around it stretches very easy. Now you'll start to stretch it out, but once it's shaped pretty well, you want to move it onto your baking pan. You don't want to shape it completely here because you do pull it out fairly thin. I like to bake mine on a parchment lined baking sheet, but this is just a personal thing just because it makes it easier for cleanup. Now, the traditional shape of this, they say it's either a wheat stalk shape or a leaf shape. I kind of go for a leaf shape for mine. I'm not a perfect artist, so it's not exactly right, but it still turns out pretty great. So once you get these 2 onto your baking sheet, you're going to kind of want to finish forming them there. Stretch it out where you want it. You want it to be thin, but not too thin, because you don't want these like a cracker. They still need to be a bread. Once it's all shaped, we're going to go ahead and start cutting it. I used a pizza cutter. You can use a razor. You can use a sharp knife. You can use whatever you want, essentially. But what you want to do is you want to cut these slits through the middle. You can make it one long slit, or you can make it several like I did. And then you're going to want to cut the veins, I guess you would call it, on the side of the leaf. And this is kind of a process. You're going to see I'm cutting, I'm stretching, I'm pulling. I like to open mine up too so that they're a little bit more open as it continues to rise and as it bakes. The more surface area we have here, the more exposed area, the crispier that these little sections are going to be. So I even start to pull it out just a little bit. And then as you work this, of course, it's going to spread out even more. Mine wasn't perfectly done. You can stretch this out more. You can make it thinner. You can make it a different shape. Just the possibilities are endless here. And then once it's shaped just the way that you want it, we're going to cover this. I only let it sit for maybe 15 minutes. It doesn't need to be a full rise. And I should note too that your oven should be piping hot by this time. And then just prior to baking, what we're going to do, it's risen another 15 or 20 minutes here. Brush it generously with olive oil. Don't be afraid here. And then once it's brushed all over with olive oil, you're going to want to sprinkle a little bit of salt onto it. I use a flake sea salt, but you can just use any kind of coarse salt that you like, or even kosher salt. Make sure that that is sprinkled on there very well. It's going to go into the oven. You're going to bake this really hot until it's a deep golden brown color. And you'll see once it comes out here that it is absolutely beautiful. It's crispy on the outside. It's soft on the inside. And also one last step that I do, you don't have to do this of course, but I like another brush of olive oil, especially while the bread's hot. It's going to continue to absorb this. And one thing too about Fougasse is homemade is it's better eaten like within 24 hours. So I like to enjoy this right away, typically with my meal or a salad or a soup. So of course, don't forget to subscribe. You don't want to miss any new videos coming out.